Hello, hi, I'm Kathryn Troutman, and I'll be teaching the STARS are lined up for military spouses based on the book here, which is on the screen. There is a special format for military spouses that I'm going to be teaching you, and you will like it. So here we go. I'm glad to be here for the Military Spouse Summit, and I hope you enjoy the video. So, yes, military spouses are an essential asset to government work. If only they could get some jobs, and that's what we're going to talk about. They can be hired. I mean, I know there's not very many jobs posted at the moment, but when they do come back, I'm going to show you how to write a best qualified resume and how to use the hiring authorities to help you land the positions. The one hiring authority I'll talk about today, and the others also, this one is called the DoD MSP PPP, Department of Defense Military Spouse Priority Placement Program. This is a really good one. This is a preference, not just a hiring authority. So these jobs are Department of Defense jobs, and they are also open to military spouses. Your resume must be best qualified to take advantage of this. So I'll show you how to write a best qualified resume also. So to use DoD MSP PPP, your sponsor has to be active duty in the military. They have to be on duty for 180 days or more. So guard would be 180 days. You have to be on PCS orders. And the position has to be within commuting area of the sponsor's duty location. So you have to be living on the same installation as your sponsor to take advantage of this. You can only use one of these for every move. And you have to not have turned down a permanent government job before you apply for this job. So, and no performance issues. Okay. So the way you find these jobs is go to USA Jobs, look for all the jobs with DoD and all the jobs that are open for military spouses, and that's how you find them. DoD, military spouse, those are the PPP jobs. Here's a sample of some language that describes what I'm talking about. So this is a work-life specialist job in Europe, and you will find language in the announcement that will say this right here, Priority Placement Program. PPP applicants, if determined well qualified and selected, will be placed at the full performance level. Wow. Okay. You have to be well qualified. You must include your PPP self-certification checklist. You've got to sign it within 30 days. So don't forget that checklist. Very, very important. Here's another one with language that's similar. This is the program analyst, DoD. And it says right here, priority placement program, military spouse preference. In order to receive this preference, you must choose that you are MSP PPP eligible. Okay, fine. And you have to be well qualified. And if you are, you will be referred to the manager as a priority applicant. So, okay, that's good. One more. This is logistics, Puget Sound. There's the language again. Priority placement program, military spouse preference. In order to receive the preference, you must choose MSP eligibility in the questionnaire, and you have to be well qualified. And then you will be referred to the manager as a priority applicant. Doesn't mean, it's not a guarantee, but it's a huge help. So a lot of people don't know this program exists, and that's what I want to show you. I did this research before hiring freeze and all the 2025 stuff. And here's why I did it. I wanted to know, out of all the jobs DoD, how many of them were listed for military spouses? So at that time, there were 4,229 total DoD jobs, of which 1,700 were listed for military spouses, and 1,500 for veterans, and 2,300 for public. I felt okay about that. I didn't know how many there were. I didn't know if they checked off military spouse very frequently. So anyway, it's almost half. So that's encouraging to know. What documents do you need? You've got to have the self-certification checklist, your marriage certificate, your PCS orders, and if you're a government, SF-50. That's a self-certification checklist. That's what it looks like. And the tricky part is you have to sign it within 30 days of applying for the job. Ugh, don't forget. There's the second part. So this checklist is critical. If you don't submit it, you can't use the hiring authority. So how do you write the resume so that you can get well qualified or best qualified? And I'm going to ask that you add your military spouse eligibility to the top. I'm also going to ask that you add your military spouse experience into the resume. Yeah, I'm going to show you how. And add qualifications that you have learned while being a military spouse. And I've called this the military spouse federal resume. It's got a name. So the federal resume, all federal resumes have to be skills-based. They have to be searchable with the keywords from the announcement. They need to be 2 pages. They got to match the announcement, and you have to include all the required information. That's a starter list right there. And look at this. This is the way your resume will move. Hopefully you will be eligible for the job. Next, qualified. Next, best qualified. That's what you have to get, best qualified for PPP. Then, if they like your resume, a human HR person will decide who is referred. That's not an automated one, that's HR. And then if the resume is on the desk of the supervisor or manager, they will decide if they want to meet you. So that's the interview. And if they like you and the interview goes well, you'll be selected. There's the steps right there. My favorite one is best qualified. I try really hard to help my clients get BQ. I want the rest, but we got to start there. So here's a sample of a military spouse resume. This is for a coder. So at the very top, you can see she is eligible for EO 13473, which is another one of the hiring programs. It's not a preference, but it's a direct hire authority for managers who want to hire a spouse they can directly without a job announcement at the moment. And then there it is, DoD MSP PPP. Type that at the very top of the resume. Then for coding qualifications, this coding certificate is critical. So this goes on page 1. Then she's got an RN, so obviously that has to go high on page 1. So her education is critical. And then we have, she was an RN for a doctor. We have that there. And a hospital. So all that information is here. We even have an accomplishment in here where she was a referral specialist for patients born before 35 weeks who might get the RSV. And what she did was she did diagnosis codes so that the insurance company could pay for the shot. And she's a really good coder, so she went above and beyond to try to get those shots covered by insurance. So always try to add an accomplishment if you can to stand out. Now, this resume is not 2 pages. I realize that, but we're going to look at a 2-pager still. But there it is, everybody. There it is. There's her military spouse history. That's a military spouse job block. Boy, is she dedicated. This is true. And while she was moving all those places, those are her volunteer experiences. She is one busy person. So I'm recommending that you add this to your resume instead of leaving it off, so that managers can see your whole story, where you've been. So I'll show you a couple more samples. Here's another one. Look at this, Laura. Look at her hiring authorities. Right there on the resume, not just documents uploaded. I want it typed up on the top of the resume. And there it is. There's her military spouse history. It's a job block. So we recommend it be added. And then she's developed military spouse competencies, logistics, community engagement, community building. So add these to your resume that might be relevant for the job you're going for. And you can, volunteer experience for government is equal to paid experience, but you have to add the month and year to month and year and hours per week to get credit. So this person worked at this community church for a while. And there it is. It's volunteer. She didn't get any money, but she did administrative operations and databases. And this helped her to get hired into the government very effectively. Okay, core competencies. So look at the competencies. These are from OPM, and they're very important. You can add 4 or 5 of these to your resume. Creative thinking is a really good one. I know you're flexible and adaptable, or you wouldn't survive as a military spouse. But these are very important to add, maybe one from each or something. Okay, here's another sample of a military spouse job lock. There it is. I like the little summary at the top. She wrote this: I am a veteran, a U.S. Army spouse, mother, volunteer, quilter, and every one of these roles I've been driven to care for, help. Isn't that nice? She's applying for a job as a social worker. And so she's just a caring person. And there's her PCS history and her military spouse competencies. So when you go back to your own resume after you watch this video, take a look at your work history. And no doubt you do not have your military spouse job lock on there. But I want you to write it. I want you to produce it and see how it looks. And if you want more samples, the book is available online on Amazon. You can see more samples from the book as well. So you should add it and see how it looks. And it'll probably help to explain the dates and the different jobs you've had. So managers like this. They like knowing what's really been happening. Now, accomplishments are very, very important in terms of helping you to get an interview, get referred. And we recommend this format called the Context Challenge Action Results. This is CCAR Stories. And here's another accomplishment here. Oh, that's the same one that she wrote for coding. I was a referral specialist. And something I didn't add in here is that these shots, if you had to do private pay, cost $1,000. So having a good coder is a really, really good thing. So I like that accomplishment a lot. This accomplishment is for a fitness person. She's trying to change her career. She designed the delivery of a physical fitness program as a volunteer while she was in the military as a spouse. She designed and operated a physical fitness program to help the Air Force military mental health technicians pass their PT test. That's nice. It's an accomplishment while she was a spouse volunteer, and she's moving into that field of fitness. So there are more samples are in the book, and I will show you the book in a minute. Now, make sure when you're working on your 2-page resume, you update your LinkedIn. You have to keep it LinkedIn. Nice picture, nice background. She's the quilter person. Freelance quilter. Very nice, isn't it? You have to update it because you're going to network. And managers check LinkedIn to see if you're still the same person. Now, qualified versus best qualified. Well, when I showed you those 3 job announcements, they said well qualified, the same thing as best qualified. So to take advantage of PPP and get referred to a manager, you have to be best qualified. And to get referred to a manager, you have to be BQ. So the way to get best qualified is make sure you match the announcement section that says you must show 1 year specialized experience. So there are some really good military spouse hiring programs. Here's a couple of them. 13473 is a hiring authority. It's not a preference. It allows qualified applicants to be selected without competition. So there's probably an announcement and a manager might want to hire you if they know you and like your background. The next one is direct hire authority for active duty spouses outside of the U.S. Same thing. Department of State family members, they have one too for a hiring authority. And then here's the DoD military spouse preference program. You have to PCS with your sponsor and you can get priority consideration for DoD jobs on or near the installation. And then same thing, overseas military spouse preference, the same thing overseas. DoD family member preference. So family members should add that to their resume as well. And then the last one here, derived preference for military family members, is a really, really good hiring program for a family member who's taking care of a veteran who is 100% disabled and can't work, or the veteran has passed away. And they can take advantage of the Veterans Preference Program, and they should add that to their resume also, derived preference for a veteran. That is a preference. So keep that in mind. So if you have a government job, please make sure you request that your job could move with you. and work remotely. I sure wish that would happen. Networking is incredibly important for spouses, using LinkedIn, meeting people, use the installation directory to get around. The Employment Readiness Program, please go there, say hi, meet people. Make sure you belong to virtual spouse groups because you might meet someone who works in an office where you would like to work. It really does help. And then more information would be in the book, and I will go to the book. So hold on for a second, and I will move over to the book. Show you a couple of more samples. All right, so here's the book, and the layout of the book is 2 parts. And that's me. Yes, I was a military spouse. I was very young there. So the book has 5 military spouse resumes in it. Now, these are 3 to 6 pages, and nowadays, federal resumes have to be 2 pages. So I also have 2-page resumes in here. It says private industry, but the good news here is that the 2-page federal resume is just like the 2-page private industry resume. It's good news. It is good news that now federal resumes are 2 pages. I'm happy about it. So part 1 is about the hiring programs that I just went through with you. I put that first because I want to get the harder part out of the way. So I talk about 13473, PPP, drive preference, and then overseas programs. And then after that, part 2, how to write a best qualified military spouse federal resume. Because if you don't have a best qualified resume, you can't use the hiring programs. So that's what's next. And then I have a sample for Anne and different samples in here. I have 3 samples of the military spouse job block starting on page 70. And accomplishments are very, very important to add in here. And then I have full case studies in the book as well. Let me go to the case studies, page 74. Okay, here's Rachel. She's the coder person that wants to get a job with the VA remote. And the case study includes her before resume, the announcement. Okay, so here is her resume before. It's 3 pages. It says too short, not now. Federal resumes are 2 pages now. She had her hiring authority at the top. That was pretty good. And then there's her background. We've got her education here. The new one that I'm going to show you that we created has way more information on education. So the before resume does not have her military spouse job on here. There's no mention of the fact that she's a spouse. It's gone. All right, now going down, here's a vacancy announcement. Medical records tech, VA, remote. That would be so good. And she has to show these requirements. 1 year credible experience that shows she has knowledge of medical terminology or the education or both. She has both. And then there's the keywords that have to be in the resume to match. You got to make sure those words are in there. And then here's the after resume. So there's the 2 hiring authorities right at the top. Then we did education. We put courses in here to emphasize coding. And then there's her Practicode, her nursing degree, her doctor job, pediatrics. Now this resume here is 3 pages, but it could be 2 pages if it was edited some. This book was written and published like 1 month before the rule of 2 pages, but this is close enough. It's 3 pages to 2 would be pretty easy. Look, there's her military spouse history right there. It's in the resume now. We didn't leave it out, and all the volunteer stuff she did as a military spouse. So I would like you to add this to your resume and see how it looks. Managers like it because they like to know what you've been doing. Here's a 2-page version of it with a cover letter. There's all the coding experience, applied nursing experience, and look at that. This is her private industry resume to go to hospitals, and we added military spouse history right into it. Now, this would be the federal resume. The difference here is that for federal, you have to have month and year to month and year and hours per week. Believe it or not, that's the only difference. Incredible, isn't it? And then there's a sample of her cover letter. Cover letters are handy. You can submit them for federal, and they're needed for private industry. That's a nice letter. Okay, the next one is Laura, social worker, and she's going for social worker and working on her clinical license. This is her resume to begin with. Look at how skimpy that description is. It's too short. And a long time too, 6 years. She was in the military. All right, that's the before resume. Now there's the announcement she's going for, social worker. Those are the keywords in the bold. Those are the words that have to be in the resume to match. Oh, more keywords from the KSAs. Whoa, that's a lot. There's a list. Got to do that. Got to make sure. Okay, this is her resume. Now, she's a veteran, so we put veterans preference up there also, as well as the military spouse hiring programs. She's overseas, so can go for overseas and U.S. There's her education. I put this first because the MSW is required for social work. Certifications are critical. We put military experience first. And this is this accomplishment here is when she was a mental health technician, she planted the seed of change for a 20-year-old male client who was not ready for recovery. He was accepted for recovery, but he just wasn't quite ready. And she wrote about how she made me think, and that helped me to solidify my ideas about ending my addiction. I focused. That's a good story. There's her second page. And there's her military spouse history right there, right in the resume. That's what I'd like you to get out of this webinar, is to add this to your resume. Don't leave it out. Add it because it's part of your life and your work and your volunteer experience. Add it. And then this is a 2-page version that would be good for federal or private industry. And we put the military spouse volunteer experience here. Then more volunteer, and then military, Air Force. So there, that's 2 pages. And then here's her cover letter. And then one more. And I hope you would get a copy of the book so you can see more samples. She's changing her career to move into fitness and wellness work. And she's currently a federal employee for the Army. She's making a career change. So this is the before. She was an Army community specialist in Yokota, real federal job. But she wants to change her career and go into fitness. She's got a new degree. So that's a before resume, great big block, non-relevant. So this won't work. This resume is not going to get her a fitness job. And then high school teacher, there's her education. New degree, sport and health, that needs to be on page 1 because she changed her career. Okay, this is the job we found for her, fitness director, Atsugi. And she needs to hit these key words: program management, facility, supervisory, and physical fitness, fitness training, exercise prep. They give you the words. You just have to highlight them and then make sure you get them into the resume. So here, this resume is 3 pages. So now don't forget, current federal resumes are 2 pages. This would have to be edited some. So there's her hiring authorities. Those are her objectives. And we put education first because she's changing her career and the degree is what she wants to use to move forward. So there it is. And we also put her certification up there because accredited health fitness, course. Then we have her training. Then she was in the Air Force. So she was a Air Force person, and we put down military spouse volunteer because you are a volunteer military spouse. And these are the locations. We put this first before her real job with the Army. So she designed a physical fitness program. All of that goes along with her military spouse job block right there. And then she taught in a school, paraeducator. So she's had an interest in health and fitness for a long time. As a junior high, she was a volleyball coach. So she's been working toward that. Then caregiver, this is her job. She had a job already doing Army community service work, but she didn't want to do that anymore. She wants to go into fitness. This resume would have to be edited down to 2 pages, which it could be. And that's about me. So this would become a 2-page resume, just editing some of the content out of it. So my program here is to talk to you about a military spouse resume. a military spouse federal resume. And what I'm recommending you do is you add your hiring authorities to the top and then add to the resume a job block for your volunteer job as a military spouse. Put in your locations, month and year, you got hours per week, 20 hours a week, and then you'll get credit for the fitness program she developed, knowledge of military protocol, knowledge of the regulations, the competencies, which would be communication skills, knowledge of regulations, logistics. You have a lot of competencies that can be featured if you put it in the resume. They have to be in there. So that's what my class is all about here, writing a competitive federal resume that gets you best qualified, but also make sure you add to the resume your hiring authorities and also add your military spouse job block so that you can take credit for all your hard work and knowledge and experience as an active duty military spouse. And don't forget the self-certification checklist. You could Google that too, and it'll come up. Self-certification checklist, it'll come up. But usually it's a link in the job announcement. So good luck to you. I hope you can use this information and land a DoD job using MSP, PPP, or any of the hiring authorities. But the resume has to be best qualified. It has to match the announcement. And I think you should add a military spouse job block to your resume. So I'm Kathryn Troutman. I'm president of Resume Place, and I wrote the book, The Stars Are Lined Up for Military Spouses. My website is resume-place.com. And you can go over there and look at some samples that are there, sign up for my newsletter. And I hope that you will do this. And thanks a lot for coming to my class. Thank you. Good luck with your job search.